Welcome to Authentic Living with Roxanne, a place where we have conscious conversations about things that really matter in our lives. And now, here's your host, Roxanne Derhaj.
Hi everyone, it's Roxanne Derhaj of Authentic Living with Roxanne. Thanks so much for tuning in again this week with us. Today I have a new colleague, Dr. Stephanie Stanfield. Dr. Steph is a colleague we met. We have some mutual acquaintances that we've worked with around our concerns that we deal with in IT with our business in this virtual world. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Steph and why it's so timely that having her on at this time in the world of the pandemic is so key. She's a stress management mentor. She has degrees in postgraduate qualifications to support women to live a life of thriving. She radiates health and well-being from all aspects, and something that we are vitally need even more so. That's the worlds that we talk about, but even more so today. Her motto is be healthy, be wealthy. She encourages, she loves to engage people with different activities and exercises to encourage them to balance themselves and create a space of peace every day, something that I know is fleeting at best with what the state we're in. She's involved in the creation of Create Your Daily Inspiration, an Oracle deck card, which I would love to hear more about that. And it's a fun workshop, and people leave with their creation of an inspiring deck to use, so they create their own. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And she's coached countless people, establishing a strong core of thriving and healing from health conditions such as sleep issues, which I know a lot of people are complaining about lately, even more so, headaches, absolutely, and then immune-related issues, as well as relationship issues. So, Dr. Steph, so let's talk about, you were talking about, she was talking about some of the founding forefathers of the energy medicine that I have been studying for years. Dr. Bruce Lipton is one of them, and she's actually worked closely with them. So tell me what got you on this path of helping, and then in turn, how did you divert into energy medicine?
It's fascinating, Roxanne, and thank you so much for having me on your show. First of all, I really want to show gratitude because that's one of the key healing skills that people can practice all the time and get great benefits from it. I actually have worked at a hospital, non-clinical, and taught CPR for 16 years. So I was very well based in conventional medicine and thought that they could help me. I have had a 15-year history of migraines and allergies, and my nervous system was deteriorating so rapidly that I was told that I'd probably be dead or in a bubble by the time I was 55. I'm 66 now. I'm a grandma. I have so many wonderful things in my life. And I was blessed with taking a course of mind, body, spirit integration that I now use as a basis for my coaching platform. And I learned about energy medicine and integration. And I studied with people that I consider the best of the best. Dr. Norm Sheely was actually my advisor in my PhD program for energy medicine and my doctorate of theology, which is a THD. And it's so great because Norm was a neurosurgeon. So I could come to him with kind of conventional medical speak, and he could interpret how that turned into energy medicine. He collaborates with a woman named Carolyn Mace,
Yes,
who is very famous. Yes. And through him, I was exposed to Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden and some of the people that are so wonderful in their leading edge research. Bruce, of course, has written Biology of Belief. He's a cellular biologist. So during this COVID-19 crisis of health, I turned to him and listened to him. I have developed several programs that I can deliver online, so no one needs to get near. We can maintain computer distancing, not even social distancing. based on some of my own issues like sleep apnea, migraines, and all of those. So I've been in the trenches where people are with the hopeless and helpless, and I help people get their hope back, get their health back, and learn how to manage the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system.
So, Dr. Steph, from the basics, for let's say somebody has never heard about energy, you and I, we would probably be able to use all this lingo because
Mhm.
of what we do and our background. So, explain to someone the basics of energy and how flow is impacted when you're positive and when you're negative. Like the state that the world is in, definitely we are in flux, we are in fear and chaos. So explain the basics so people can get a sense of what energy medicine is and how energy distributes throughout our body.
Energy medicine is based on a lot of ancient Chinese medicine or Japanese medicine. I'm a Reiki master. What energy medicine is the understanding that we are as well organized energetically and anatomically as we are physiologically. So in conventional medicine, we look at the blood circulatory system and we look at the nervous system, and because we dissected people and we could figure out where nerves went and all of that. In energy medicine, it has the same type of system. Instead of organs, you have chakras, which are small energy data systems in your body that correlate. Actually, a lot of people don't realize this, with major nerve plexus in your body. Did you know that?
No, I don't know. I know a bit about the chakras from some basic information, Dr. Steph, but don't know it at the level. So I'm very curious about it.
So every place that you have a nerve plexus in your body, even the palms of your hand and your feet, where nerves come together and then they separate out, you have a chakra. You actually have chakras in your palms of your hands and other places where there are nerve plexus. Most people are familiar with the 7 major chakras, and chakras actually just mean spinning vortex or spinning wheel.
Mm.
So you have a chakra at the base of your torso. You have a chakra at your sacral plexus. It's right below your belly button in the center of your body. You have a chakra at your solar plexus, and it's a solar plexus. We call it our solar plexus, which
Mm-hmm.
means just an intersection of nerves. You have a chakra at your heart plexus. You have a chakra at your throat. You have a chakra at your brow, and you have a chakra of your crown.
Mm-hmm.
And so these energy centers relate actually to different organs in the body, similarly to where the nerves that innervate in those places go as well. And just as those nerves and organs have a function, your chakras have a function. In this time of high fear, fear is in the base chakra, that bottom part in the very bottom of your torso. And the emotion associated with that chakra is fear. And so it's when you get into a fear state, it kind of collapses the chakras
Mm-hmm.
so that they don't function normally. They need to be open, they need to be flowing, they need to be taking information in and sending information out. And when you are in a fear state, those chakras close down to protect. And so fear is protection, fear is constriction, fear is survival. A normal state is thriving, not surviving, and your chakras are open and flowing, and information and energy moves easily among them.
So a lot of people have been talking, and I know I have been experiencing it, with all of us, like the US and Canada and globally, are social distancing. And, when we get out there, I'm not going out other than to do the basics like we're being asked, doing my part, and as I'm sure you're doing too.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go out, I get this, visceral feeling that comes over me. And when I say visceral, I say like it's like a body reaction where I'm like, why I'm not feeling so good. Like it's almost like, what, am I not well physically? And I come back home and I think, well, what, I wasn't out that long. So I'm thinking it's energy because I'm absorbing the energy of what I'm experiencing when I'm out there. Does that make sense from an energy
Absolutely.
medicine perspective?
Absolutely. And we speak energy very fluently and instantaneously and simultaneously.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So when we step out and you get that visceral, that closing down, that's the nervous system, and you're feeling that, but we also do it energetically. So you have two branches of your nervous system, like your central nervous system is your brain and your spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system are the nerves coming out of your spinal cord. And then the autonomic nervous system is sympathetic activity and parasympathetic activity. Sympathetic activity is designed for fight, flight, or freeze. And it's a visceral reaction, just like you're describing, just
mm-hmm,
where
mm-hmm.
the saber-toothed tiger is there, the threat is there,
Right.
and your body responds viscerally, but your energy system also responds. So that's fight, flight, or freeze, sympathetic. And it's a fear-based with all of the emotions. So when people say, I'm worried about, they're shifting over to sympathetic activity. In that activity, you don't take in nutrients, you don't eliminate toxins, you just close down, like kind of, I don't know if in Canada you have what's called roly-poly bugs, but they're this little
Mm-hmm,
tiny bug that has this shell, and when you touch them, they turn into a little circle.
mm-hmm,
That's what your body does. It closes itself down to survive. So your only options there are fight, flight, or freeze. And your thinking and your movements reflect that activity.
mm-hmm,
Parasympathetic, most people call it rest and digest, but it's so much more. It's thriving. Your blood flows to all aspects of who you are, not to your arms and legs so that you can fight or flight, but to all in the
mm-hmm.
prefrontal cortex instead of the back part of the brain that's called the reptilian brainstem. Your body temperature actually changes and you kind of warm up as your blood vessels expand. You get blood flow to your
Mm-hmm.
fingers and your arms, and your energy system opens up and you start feeling connected to things. Not connected, connected. And the emotion associated with parasympathetic is love in all of its wonderful aspects.
So let's think about the world right now and the average person that's going through what we're all going through, right? And even if you're conscious like you and I are, and you do certain things, there's still that energy regardless,
Mhm.
you know, by the news, by the posts that you see on social media, by your kids wanting to go outside, but they can't really go out and play with their little friends, or that your teenagers that are like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in this house with you. Lots of things, right? So it's swirling. So people are talking about a lot of physiological things that are happening symptom wise. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think that's important, because that's where everybody's at. The other morning at 3 o'clock, and I'm a phenomenal sleeper out of nowhere. I was up and I could not unplug to go back to sleep. So I thought, oh, I'm going to lay here. And then I said, okay, the only way I'm going to get back to sleep is I got my headset and I put on a meditation, and eventually after about 45 minutes, I dozed back off. And a lot of people are talking about things like that. So let's talk about some of the symptoms when we're in that panic fear state that the body starts to develop, that you've worked with over the years. And I'm sure in your coaching, you're seeing a lot more of now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what I call the 5 self-healing skills. Belly breathing, drinking enough water. You'll probably see me drink water. Awareness, present moment living, and exactly what you were talking about, quiet,
Okay.
meditation, coming into the sense of self. So belly breathing is so phenomenal for shifting you out of the activity of the sympathetic nervous system into the activity of the parasympathetic. It is a natural switch. Everybody breathes.
Right. But some people don't breathe properly, Dr.
Right.
Steph. So let's talk about that, because um, oftentimes people are, their breath is going across versus up and down. So the average person, I mean, maybe most people are doing it well, but I think it's an important thing to discuss because, we often say, put your hand on your chest and put it on your belly. Make sure that when you're breathing in, your lower tummy gets out. But most people are like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? You're telling me I'm breathing wrong?
Yeah, I know. They say I breathe all the time. It
Oh,
works.
yeah, that's not the kind of thing you think about. Oh, yeah, you got to think about it. So can you explain maybe some little steps or little tips on how we know if we're doing it right?
Yes. If I ask someone to take a deep breath and they go, and they lift their chest and shoulders, they're using the wrong muscles. And then people, when I used to do massage therapy, they'd say, I carry my stress here. I'd say, no,
Right
you're
up
not
here.
carrying your stress here. You are breathing using the wrong muscles. These are not your breathing muscles. The small muscles in between your ribs are not your breathing muscles. So if I asked you to lift like a 10-pound weight with your little finger, this finger would get very tired very quickly because it's not designed to do that.
Right.
Your diaphragm is your muscle that sits under your rib cage, and it's a big muscle, and it's your breathing muscle. So when you belly breathe, the diaphragm should contract down and push down as you draw the air all the way into your lungs, completely and totally into your lungs. The lower third of your lungs actually has the highest concentration of capillaries for oxygenating your body, right? And if you don't draw the air down in there and change it out regularly, like every 2 minutes or 3 minutes, that air doesn't have any oxygen left in it. So you're actually stressing your body out with the air trying to give your body oxygen, and there's no oxygen there. So you need to breathe deeply and get that residual volume out of your lungs and breathe in fresh oxygenated air, and then out and in. The only way you can do that is to use your diaphragm. And when you use your diaphragm, it actually massages your abdomen so you stay regular. So let's think of this. If fear sits in the bottom chakra, you start getting constipated,
Mm.
okay? You don't go to the bathroom. And fear, again, I relate this symbolically to the buying of toilet paper, okay?
Oh, interesting. I
I have
hadn't
to have my
thought.
toilet paper. I have to have my toilet paper. Because it sits in that first chakra that regulates some of the elimination that the body does. So a lot of people fear bought toilet paper. It's normal. And when you understand the energetics that sit behind that, people were fear driven, not driven with there is enough for everyone. Okay? So your belly breathing and you're moving and you're massaging and your digestion works because when you're stressed, you get headaches,
Mhm.
you poor sleep, your body stops functioning, including your immune system. A stressed immune system is a sick immune system.
Mhm.
So you can actually get sick fearing yourself into the symptoms of what's out there. Isn't that fascinating?
Yes, it is. It is because if you think about it, and we've talked about the impact of we've seen what's happened, but we've been talking about the health implications of what COVID-19 will do for us, and they think that will be an astronomical number economically on us because then it's going to be to the poor health of people that are experiencing just what we're talking about,
Right.
right?
So immune disorders, autoimmune disorders like lupus, RA, arthritis, all of these things where the immune system of the body has not been nourished and supported enough that it recognizes the foreign invaders and can respond appropriately. So any autoimmune disorder, sleeplessness, headaches, indigestion, acid reflux. Do you know acid reflux?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's actually high sympathetic activity because the trachea for your stomach goes through your diaphragm. If you're not moving your diaphragm, it constricts the trachea.
Mm-hmm.
Then your acid builds up and you get ulcers and acid reflux. Whereas if you're using your diaphragm to breathe and it moves, the trachea can function normally. Acid reflux goes away.
So some of the basic symptoms that people probably are experiencing right now is sleeplessness, headaches. You said probably GI or intestinal kind of discomfort, like what I talked about when I went out and I was like, and I've never
That
had,
visceral.
yeah, that digestive stuff. And I was like, what is it? Like, so what other things might people be experiencing symptom wise, would you think?
Just again, what you suggested. And again, if we step back into the 5 self-healing skills, if you're belly breathing, if you're drinking enough water, which is 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight. I was talking to a friend who threw her electrolytes totally out of balance because she was drinking so much water. And she kept saying, I don't know why I'm so low energy. I'm drinking all this water. Well, 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 100 pounds, it's 50 ounces. That way it's individualized to you.
Right.
And you're eliminating wastes appropriately and maintaining hormonal, insulin, electrolyte balances. Then you come to awareness. In my sleep studies and in my sleep classes, I actually tell people your sleep experience begins from the moment you wake up. What are you telling yourself? If you wake up in the morning and go, oh, I woke up at 3. I hope I don't wake up at 3 tomorrow night. I hope I
That's
don't wake up. I hope I don't. You're programming your nervous system to wake up at 3.
Right. And you know what I said this morning? It's funny you said that, Doctor. I said, this is what I said to myself this morning. No word of a lie. What a great sleep. I want to have those kind of nights more. This morning I said that because I had an awesome sleep last night.
Yes. So you actually start programming your nervous system for your sleep experience as soon as you wake up. Oh, I hope I sleep better tonight. Well, no, you may not, but how do you become aware of that? So your thoughts are part of that awareness self-healing skills. When you become aware of what you're thinking and programming into your nervous system, oh, I hope I don't get sick. What your nervous system actually hears is nouns and verbs. So what it hears is get sick. So you want to become aware of how you're programming your nervous system. So I say, I have a great immune system. My immune system is so healthy. I love my immune system. It is keeping me safe. Those are what I like to program in. One of the things that you need to do, though, is become aware of what you're actually thinking. So that means you get into the present moment and you stop projecting into the future. Oh, what is my night's sleep going to be like tonight? And you stop bringing the past in. Oh, I slept crappy last night. I'll probably sleep that way again tonight. So present moment is kind of like a 10-second interval of being fully present like we are right now. And a belly breath usually takes about 10 seconds because I breathe into the count of 4 and out to the count of 6. Now I'm in the present with you.
Right.
So let's take a breath together and have the audience just take a breath with us. See how they feel really quickly before they take the breath. Just kind of do that check-in. And then breathe into the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, using the diaphragm. And out to the count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now tell me how you're feeling, please.
I could feel my head getting a little bit lighter there.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm there's more oxygen flowing up to my brain, isn't it?
Yes, and to the right parts of the brain. Instead of feeding the fear that sits in that reptilian brain stem, you're actually getting blood flow to all the parts in the endocrine system, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and all of those
You almost
pituitary.
made up a new word there between the
I know.
pituitary. That would be fine. But let's go back to what people are saying. You know, we are so conscious of what, of course, as psychotherapists and stress experts, about what we're telling ourselves in this time. We know what are people saying to themselves. I'm so worried. What's going to happen? Who's going to die? We're not kind of, and some of the, that being said, this is real. And for anybody listening, by all means, my goodness, we look at the numbers, we look at flattening the curve, we look at all the things we've had to do, and we will get through this. But it's kind of, if you let that free flow of thoughts about what could happen or what has happened, that puts you into that complete state of fear all the time.
All the time. And that complete state of fear will actually deteriorate your nervous system, your internal organs. People that have current issues like diabetes and things like that, they'll find their insulin fluctuates greater than it ever has before because we are preparing to fight, flight, or freeze. And right now we're in a time of self-isolation, which means that we are not doing our normal activities that nourish us. We're not getting our hugs from our friends. We're not being in the presence of the people that we love. We're not, and a lot of us who have not worked for a while, I actually had to go into quarantine March 5th because I was exposed to someone who had the virus.
Okay.
So I had been out of circulation for 32, 33 days now.
Wow.
But I practice my 4 self-healing skills, and I have a lot of techniques that I do with myself. And I am using this time for personal growth, for expansion of my mind. I'm reading great books. I am listening to people like Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden. I am listening to Carolyn Mace. I do daily breaks for prayer and connection with source on whatever level, people like that, the divine, God, whatever. And I'm not really sure what other people are feeling because I know that I'm using this time to benefit me. When the governor comes on and says, wear masks, and I say, okay, got my mask, I'll go out with it. But I'm not really going out in fear like you are. And yet it's all around. It's all around. Everyone is experiencing a certain level of fear. So this is my opportunity to shine my light.
So give us some quick tips that people can do that when they're going out, just to ensure, like, I know you talked a little bit about the water, of course.
I drink my water.
Drink your water.
Belly breathe.
Your belly breathe.
Balance my chakras,
Okay.
which is very simple to do. Your chakras actually are the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet.
Okay.
Okay, so I just imagine the rainbow just coming up. Red is your base, orange is your sacral, yellow is your solar plexus, green is your heart, blue is your throat, indigo is your brow, and violet is your crown. So I just imagine that all of those are getting the light and the energy and the flow that they need. And I imagine my auric field getting very large and having some very healthy boundaries energetically, so that when I go out, I breathe in the fresh air. And I imagine that I am bringing light to people who need it. And it's not my light. It's present moment light. It's connection to source light. And waving at my friends when I see them in the supermarket. I live in a small town, so I always see people I know. And just waving at them, talking with people, talking in positive ways. because your brain will actually habituate negative thoughts. You know this,
Yes.
but it can habituate positive thoughts. And your mind doesn't care if you're thinking a negative thought or a positive thought. So we come into another one of my favorite healing phrases. Change a word, change your life.
Mm-hmm.
I hear people say, I'm so worried about, and I ask them, would you just please change one word? They say, what? Say, I'm worried about to, I wonder about.
Mm.
Worried will produce energy flows, hormones, molecules
Mm-hmm.
of emotion, electrical, magnetical, dynamic things. And wonder will produce the same type of substances, but of a higher vibration.
Mm.
So you're probably very familiar with this. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So if you think you can't, electrically, chemically, magnetically, emotionally, hormonally, you produce a state of being of can'tness.
Mm-hmm.
So you will produce the hormones, the stress hormones, the corticosteroids, all of those things, the molecules of emotion of fear, worry, anxiety, grief, shame that support that. You will also bring in memories of all of your failures so
Mm-hmm.
that then becomes true for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I can, electrically, magnetically, chemically, hormonally, endocrine wise, production of feel good like endorphins and kephalins, dopamines and serotonins. And then the memories all come magnetically to support all of your successes. And you remember when you can.
Mm-hmm.
Your choice. Your mind doesn't care. It'll
Mm-hmm.
think, excuse me, it'll think whichever, but
So
which
really
is more healthy.
so the awareness piece is, I think, is the gift that we need to give ourselves that much more right now.
Yes.
And which is what I obviously, I do that often.
Mhm.
I know if I'm tired, like with that day that I went out, I was tired that day too. I could tell. So of course, my unconscious is probably lower, so I'm absorbing a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I think it's all these little things that you can do, right? Some basic things, right? We're talking, and
Right.
like you said, to sit out and look out at your backyard and hear the birds and feel the sunlight, because we're getting a little bit better weather, like you are probably in Colorado too. Those types of things those are the basic things that doesn't take a lot, but it's like I can or I can't.
Can't.
And the brain, like you said, the brain plays along whichever way you say, which way are you going to play this?
Yeah. How do you want to do this? I'm happy to do whichever you'd like.
Right, right.
Here you can get really, really down and you can't do anything. Here you can get really, really happy, joyful, whatever, which is that inspiration card deck that I love to do because it's mine. It's just got a print on one side that says creative inspirations in a real pretty design. And then I have put different words and I draw a word of the day. Another thing that people can do that are just very simple exercises, Roxanne, but they are so helpful, is every day I write down a word that has a high vibration,
Mm,
like joy or
right.
bliss or gratitude. And at Christmas time, you get those little gift bags, right?
Yeah.
So I write a word of the day and I put it in that little gift bag for a year. So I have 365 of them in my gift bag. The next year, guess what I do? I draw out a word of the day
And look at it and
and
reflect.
look at it and
Oh,
reflect on it. Okay.
wow.
So when I go outside, I know that there's going to be a tidal wave of fear because that's the environment that's being created right now by well-meaning people, and keeping us safe with the intention of keeping us safe. But they are using fear, and you can't be in fear and safe at the same time. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be in fear and love at the same time. So my choice is to be in love, joy, bliss. But I know when I step out, It's going to come crashing down like a tidal wave. So I prepare myself. I have little things. I have little gratitude rocks in my car. I have uh, little things like a little angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I remind myself, hey, and I keep this by my desk so that when I start into I can't, I pick it up and I go, oh, I can.
You remind yourself. So these constant reminders are saying to the brain, even though I might be feeling this at 1 second,
Yeah.
I can think in different thoughts. And, with unconscious thoughts, we know we have so many unconscious thoughts. So much of what we do is unconscious. It's that awareness. And, you alluded to at the beginning about being grateful. Like, little things that I do is I have a book next to my bed and I write at least five things down that I'm grateful for at night before I go to bed. And at first thing when I get up in the morning, I do the same.
Yes.
Right. So all these little things become, I always call it, it's almost like the emotional endurance that you develop within the brain. And you're saying to your brain, just in case you're not sure, I'm going to remind you that it's okay. It's going to be fine. We will get through this.
Yes.
But unfortunately, to your point, that the energetic energy of the world is more based on fear right now. And we really have to replace that as much as we can with all the great emotions, love, joy, gratitude, gratefulness, all those things, are the things that keep us, like you said, energetic and in flow, so that all the messages in our body keep saying, oh, this is good. I'm fine. Everything's going to work out. We will get through this. We've been through massive things before. We will get through this again. But it's like a tidal wave, right? Every time you get up, you're going to get knocked down, but you have to say, okay, what do I need to bring today to make sure I can surf this wave instead of getting knocked over?
Right. And I do little things like I know that happiness is one of the great laughter, happiness, joy is the greatest medicine that there is. So sometimes I will have people like take a Kleenex and they have to laugh the whole time it drops to the ground. And look, we're laughing. 1 minute of laughter can boost your immune system for 6 to 8 hours. And some people have even said 24. So before I go outside, I'm going to laugh.
Watch something funny or pull out something that's going to make you just giggle unbearably. And again, you're inoculating yourself the negativity of the panic in the world, which is pervasive. It's there. And we can pretend, and people say, I'm happy, happy, happy. And I go, it's not that I'm telling you not to feel. I'm just saying, acknowledge what you feel, but figure out what you're going to do to step out of it as much as you can.
Or acknowledge what you think. Again, I'm worried, change a word. I wonder.
Right. What could you say instead? What could you say instead and replace it with something that's more positive versus, again, the brain and the body goes through protection, which sometimes can be negative. So then you shift the thought to be able to put it into more positives. Okay. I want to make sure we get it. So water, awareness, belly breathing. What did I miss? What's the other two?
Present moment living.
Present moment living. So that's using all your senses to bring you back to the present. So whether it's a sight, sound, a taste, a touch, a smell, anything in that, I always say to people, do something, you have the senses, and then just check in as much as possible. And I know I do a lot of sensory grounding with individuals, and that's what you mean, is it? Or is there some other way that you would explain it?
Sensory grounding. That's very good.
And the last one is?
And now that belly breathing, water, awareness, present moment living, and actually, again, just using all of those tools together to create new health and happiness habits. A lot of people don't realize that the word health comes from an Anglo-Saxon word, hail, which means wholeness. So bringing in all parts of you. The
wholeness.
Best of you.
So health comes from the root word that that means wholeness. Hail. Dr. Steph, I think you and I could probably talk a whole lot more, and I'm so grateful for the time you've given us. Now, for people that are like, okay, I love what this lady's saying. They want to get a hold of you. They want to maybe do some of your online courses or even coach with you. where can people get a hold of you, and tell them what your website is? Obviously, all this will be in the show notes, but I'd like you to share it with them anyway.
And actually, thank you for bringing that up. My website is www.makingshiftshappen. My older sister teases me all the time and changes my name. And she goes, because you can make a lot of stuff happen. So making shifts happen. And right now, I have a program that I'm offering to anyone for free. It's called Calm Moms. It's from stress to calm for moms, and it is for free. It's normally $147, but if you go to makingshiftshappen.com/courses/calm moms, you can register and take that program for free. And I'm doing kind of like our state is doing. I offered it free for a short period of time, but because our in-home confinement has been extended, I'm extending the program.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for doing it for my listeners. I'm sure you will get people that will sign up. For all those, not that dads aren't going through it too, but I'm sure maybe dads can also go on.
I tell people, anyone who is facing the stress of this confinement right now needs to take this program. Male, female, teenager, adult, elderly, anyone, because I'm a teacher, so there's a lot of education in there, but it's helpful for anyone, Roxanne.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that gift, and the gift of your time today. You have taught. I could see what a great teacher you are and have been, with how simple you've broken down some really, really advanced concepts that I know we learn and use all the time. I think for everyone listening, I'm sure they're going to walk away with belly breathing. And if you remember one thing from that, our time today, is just to remember, use your diaphragm accordingly, and try to do that as often as you can throughout the day, because that's when you oxygenate your body, and you're having all the little messengers in your body talk to themselves that says, I'm okay.
Yes.
I'm going to survive this. I'm going to be all right. And you're inoculating yourself now for all the times that we'll be able to, based on the duration, the more that you do this, as we isolate until we kind of flatten our curves, this is the gift that you can give to yourself. So again, thank you so much for your time. For anyone listening, I'm Roxanne Durhodge. I'm a mental health and wellness specialist. And I also have a course online on relationships as you're at home and having to relate more. And you can go to my website at roxannedurhodge.com, and there's a course on how to enhance and improve your relationships every day.
Thanks for tuning in to Authentic Living with Roxanne, creating the space for positive, healthy change. Roxanne is a keynote speaker, psychotherapist, and coach. To work with Roxanne, visit roxannedurhodge.com/blueprint. We'll see you next time on Authentic Living with Roxanne.